Hello students. So in today's class, we will be discussing on cymindum. Okay. So we have already finished with gingiva. Now we will be discuss gingiva, and you have also studied periodontal ligaments. Now the next anatomic structure which you have to know is cymindum. Okay. So we will be going through these following headings. We will be dealing with the composition, function, the types of cymindum, the cymindal resorption repair, cymindal abnormalities. All this we will be going through the following headings. Now, coming on to the definition of cymindum. So, what is cymindum? Cymindum is a calcified avascular mesenchymal tissue that forms the outer coverage of the anatomic root. That forms the outer covering of the anatomic root. Okay. Now, this was first demonstrated microscopically in 1835 by two pupils of Purkinje, and it is also known as substantia osseosa. Now, the human cymindum, it is avascular and it has no innervations. Okay, it is not having any vascular supply, and it also do not have any innervations. Now, where does the cymindum begin? The cymindum, it begins at the cervical portion of the tooth. That is at the CEG region, and it continues till the apex of the tooth. Now, the cymindum mainly it furnishes a medium for attachment of the collagen fibers. Now, you have to know the functions of the cymindum. So, as I told you, the first function or the primary function is anchorage. Okay, so it provides an attachment of the collagen fibers to bind the tooth to the alveolar bone. So that is the first function. It helps in binding the tooth to the alveolar bone. Attachment of the collagen fibers to bind the tooth to the alveolar bone. And the second function is, I told you that it forms the covering of the root. Okay. So it provides a seal for the open dentinal tubules, thus preventing dentinal sensitivity. Now the third function is the adaptation. It helps in maintaining the functional occlusion. Okay, like if there is a tooth loss that is seen in the, if there is a tooth loss due to occlusal wear, there will be deposition of cymindum in the apical area, and this can compensate for the loss of tooth substance. So it helps in maintaining the functional occlusion. That is the third function of cymindum. And coming to the fourth function, that is repair. Cymindum serves as a reparative tissue for root surface. That is, damage of roots such as fractures can be repaired by the deposition of new cymindum. Now coming on to the physical properties of cymindum. Okay, so hardness. It is hardness is less than that of dentine. Okay, and it is least calcified. And the color, it is light yellow in color, and it has a dull surface and it has a dark hue than that of enamel. Now coming on to the chemical properties, that is a composition of cymindum. So the inorganic content is 45 to 50%, and the organic content is 50 to 55%. And the inorganic content, the main constituent is hydroxyapatite. Okay, then we have magnesium 0.9%, and other trace elements are also present. Now you have to understand that the fluoride content is highest here in the cymindum than other calcified tissues in the body. Okay. Now coming on to the organic content, that is the main content is the collagen. That is a type 1 collagen constitute 90% of the cymindum. Then we have type 3 collagen, and it also contains proteoglycan, cymindum associated proteins, etc. Okay, so I told you the organic matrix is mainly made up of collagens, that is type 1 and type 3 collagen, and 90% is the type 1 collagen, and 3% is the, 5% is the type 3 collagen. Now, the next thing which you have to study here is the classification of cymindum. Okay, so cymindum is classified based on the time of formation as primary and secondary, and based on the presence or absence of cells as cellular and acellular, and based on the fibers as the following, that is acellular afibrillar fiber, acellular extrinsic fiber cementum, cellular mixed stratified cementum, cellular intrinsic fiber cementum, and intermediate cementum. Okay, so the acellular cementum, it is also called as a primary cementum. Okay, it covers the root adjacent to the dentine. Okay, and the cellular cementum, it is also called as secondary cementum, and it is found mainly in the apical area overlining the acellular cementum. See, this is a cellular cementum. Now, these are some of the differences which I have charted down as, between acellular and cellular cementum, and this is very important. Sometimes you can get short notes on this. Okay, so as the name suggests, okay, what is the acellular means? There is no cells, and cellular means it contains cementocytes. Okay, that is the first difference. And coming on to the formation, acellular cementum forms before the tooth reaches the occlusal plane. Okay, it is the first form cementum, primary cementum, before the tooth reaches the occlusal plane, and cellular cementum forms after the tooth reaches the occlusal plane. Now, coming on to the location. Okay, see, the acellular cementum is located coronally, and the cellular cementum is located at the apical portion of the root. Now, the rate of formation of acellular cementum is faster, and the incremental lines are more in acellular cementum, and they are more calcified. Acellular cementum is more calcified, and Sharpey's fibers are more regular. Sharpey's fibers are more in acellular cementum. And coming on to the functions, acellular cementum forms after regenerative periodontal surgical procedures, and cellular cementum, it contributes to the length of the root during growth. So these are the main differences between acellular and cellular cementum. Now, we have already discussed this, but I'll just go through it fast. Cellular cementum is a secondary cementum, and mainly it is present at the apical third of the root, and this is less calcified and formed after the tooth reaches the occlusal plane, and it contains cells called cementocytes. Now, acellular cementum is the first form. It is formed before the tooth reaches the occlusal plane and present at the cervical third or half of the root, and it does not contain any cells. Now, incremental lines in the cementum is called as incremental lines of Salter. Okay, so both this acellular cementum and cellular cementum, they are arranged in lamellae that is separated by unevenly spaced incremental lines. Okay, so these are arranged parallel to the long axis of the root, and these lines represent rust periods in cementum formation, and this is highly mineralized. Okay, so the incremental lines are highly mineralized with less collagen and more ground substance. Now, coming to the next classification, that is based on the nature and origin of the organic matrix. Okay, so first you must understand that there are two groups of fibers. The first one is the extrinsic group, and the second one is the intrinsic group. Okay, the extrinsic group is mainly made up of the principal fiber. Extrinsic group is the principal fibers of the periodontal ligament, and these are known as the principal fibers of the periodontal ligament are known as the Sharpey's fibers. Okay, so these are mainly formed by the fibroblast of the periodontal ligament. These Sharpey's fibers, they continue in the cementum in the same direction as the principal fibers of the ligament. Now, the second group is the intrinsic group. Okay, so the intrinsic group is mainly formed by the cementoblast, and these are arranged randomly or parallel to the surface of the cementum. Okay, now coming on to our classification. The first one is the acellular afibrillar cementum. Okay, so this is located, so as the name, acellular, it is not having cells. Afibrillar, it is not having any fibers. Okay, so or collagen fibers, it is not having any collagen fibers. Okay, so this is located over the cervical enamel at the CEJ, and it contains glycose aminoglycans and mineralized ground substance, and found as coronal cementum in humans, and it is a product of the cementoblast. The next group is the acellular extrinsic fiber cementum. Okay, so this is densely packed bundles of, it is not having cells, but it is having extrinsic fibers are present. So it has bundles of Sharpie's fibers and glycosaminoglycans, and it lacks cells, and it covers 40 to 70% of the root surface. Okay, so this is mainly found in the cervical third of the root in humans, and it serves as a function. It serves the function of anchoring the root to the periodontal ligament. The third group is the cellular mixed stratified cementum. So it contains cell, and it is mixed stratified. So it is having both the extrinsic and intrinsic fibers. That is, it has the extrinsic fibers, the Sharpie's fibers, and the intrinsic fibers. So this is a co-product of both the fibroblast and cementoblast, and it appears mainly in the apical third of the root apices and in the furcation area. Now the fourth group is the cellular intrinsic fiber cementum. So as the name cellular, it contains cell, and intrinsic fiber, so it has the intrinsic fibers are present. So it is mainly formed by the cementoblast, and it fills the resorption lacunae. The cellular intrinsic fiber cementum is deposited on the root surface area where no acellular extrinsic fiber cementum has been laid down in the dentin. It occurs in the furcations and on the apical root portions. Now, the fifth is the intermediate cementum. So, what is that? It's an ill-defined zone near the cemento-dentinal junction of certain teeth that appears to contain cellular remnants of Hartwell's epithelial root sheath embedded in a calcified ground substance, and it is also called as the layer of Hopewell-Smith. So this is the 5 types. So you should know this classification also. So what is that? Classification based on the presence of cells and the nature and the origin of organic matrix is classified in the 5 types: acellular afibrillar cementum, acellular extrinsic fiber cementum, cellular mixed stratified cementum, cellular intrinsic fiber cementum, and intermediate cementum. Now, coming to the various junctions of cementum. We have the cemento-dentinal junction, that is the cementum and dentin interface, okay, and the cemento-enamel junction, which is a cementum and enamel interface. So the cemento-enamel junction sometimes comes as a short note, so you must draw this diagram also, okay. So you can see here, in 60 to 65% of the cases, the enamel okay, so in 60 to 65% of the cases, the cementum overlaps the enamel, okay, and in 30% of the cases, we can see that it is edge to edge. See, the enamel and cementum, it is edge to edge, and in 5 to 10% of cases, we can see that there is a gap. The enamel and the cementum, they do not meet. Now, the methods of locating the cemento-enamel junction is the conventional methods like the visual method, the tactile, the straight probe, or we can use the periodontal probe, the radiographic methods, or like IOPA, bite wing, RBG. We can use the pressure probes like Florida probe, the Inter probe, the Toronto probes, etc. in locating the cemento-enamel junction. Now, the clinical importance of the cemento-enamel junction. Okay, what are the clinical importance? Okay, so it is a static landmark for measuring the clinical attachment levels, and it helps in assessing the alveolar bone destruction, and it helps in the determination of furcation, and also the role of it serves a landmark in cases of gingival recession. In their management also, we can if we can identify the cemento-enamel junction, then it helps in gingival recession management too. Now, coming to the cemento-dentinal junction, the terminal area the terminal apical area of the cymindum, where it joins the internal root dentine, is known as a cymendo-dentinal junction. When root canal treatment is performed, the obturating material it should be at the cymendo-dentinal junction. Now coming on to the cymendal abnormalities. Okay, this is the last heading. So the first abnormality is the hypercementosis. Okay, hypercementosis is the thickening of the cymendum. So that can either be localized to one tooth or it can affect the entire dentition. And hypercementosis occurs as a generalized thickening of the cymendum with nodular enlargement of the apical third of the root. Then hypercementosis of the entire dentition is seen in patients with Paget's disease. Now, cymenoblastoma is the only neoplasm of the cymendum, and cymendoma is not a true neoplasm, but it is a fibrous lesion. Now, cymendicles are round. Cymendicles are calcified, round, or ovoid bodies, which are sometimes seen in the periodontal ligament. Okay, so this can be present singly or in multiple numbers near the cymendal surface. And there are two types of cymendicles, that is the free cymendicles and the attached cymendicles. The free cymendicles, they lie in the periodontal ligament, and attached cymendicles, they are attached to the root surface. Now, the last one is the ankylosis. What is ankylosis? Ankylosis is a fusion of the cymendum and the alveolar bone with obliteration of the periodontal ligament. Okay, that is termed as ankylosis. So ankylosis occurs in teeth with cymendal resorption, which suggests that it may represent a form of abnormal repair. Okay. Now, cymendum formation is altered in the following diseases. Like in Paget's disease, we can see that there is an hypercementosis, and in hypopituitarism, we can see that there is decreased cymendal formations. And in cleidocranial dysplasia, we can see that there is a defective cymendum formation. And in hyperphosphatasia, there is a total absence of cymendum formation. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of this chapter. Thank you all for your patient listening.